Hey, Fi fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps, and I'm joined now with Joyce. Joe, it's really good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. It's
You
been a
look like
while.
you have some really nice light going on there.
Lighting. Yeah. I've got a window over like behind over there, so
Oh, really?
good
What time?
lighting.
What time
It's
is it there?
7 p.m.
Oh, okay. That's some pretty nice light for being evening time.
Twilight. Was it the magic light hour or something like that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Twilight hour or something like that. I don't know what it's
Yeah,
called.
that's nice. It looks like you have like a ring light going on. Do you know what that is? Do you know like the girls use those?
Halo. No,
Yeah,
no, no,
like
no. Oh,
that's
what one of them? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah, one of them light things, circle light thing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's what it
Put them
looks.
on your phone. I swear you got one, haven't you?
I have one. I don't have it on right now.
Oh, okay.
I have a small one on, but it's not like the big one. I just didn't want to set up the big one. But I have light coming in from that side, but it's not quite as on fleek as yours is.
Yeah, check my light out.
How have you been? How are things with you?
Yeah, good. Good, I guess. I mean, good as they can be in these times.
Yeah, true, true. It's how do I say it? It's challenging and um like it really kind of forces people to sort of really look at themselves, doesn't it? Like that's the only way I can say it. It's like everything that's going on, it's like makes people, I feel like everyone's sort of going through this transition,
Yeah,
you'd say, which
yeah,
which could be a good thing. Even though some people see it as a negative thing, I think it's a good thing because it sort of forces you to
yeah.
look at it differently.
You definitely, you have more time to yourself, and or if you're like with family and you have kids, then you get more time to spend with them, etc. And because you've got so much more time on your hands, you can, I don't know, you can kind of go inside and like find out things about yourself.
Yeah. So what have you, if anything, what have you done that maybe have you taken up a new hobby? Have you done anything, or what have you learned about yourself having all of this extra time?
I think I've already gone through all this kind of stage of self quarantining myself anyway. So I know who I am, and I have. So it's quite a normal thing for me, but it I don't know. It just means I can't. I didn't. Missed out on a really on my biggest fight of my career so far, and like I've been able to go out and about, obviously on my bike and walk and running and stuff like that around here. But the things that I miss were like swimming and because especially because since I've got loads of time on my hands, like, or like going to like a trampoline place, or doing other activities, or even going out to eat, or going to the cinema and stuff, things like that. It's been like quite hard, and I had plenty of time to game and stuff like that, and watch films and series and stuff. But it gets to a point when you're just so bored of it. It's like, what next?
I think one of the things that people are going to realize coming out of this is just being a bit more thankful for
Yeah,
the the freedoms that we had, the ability to just get up and go to a cafe, the ability to
uh-huh.
just get up and go to the gym. Now that we don't have that, I think it's going to make a lot more people grateful.
Yeah, and appreciate the time that they have to do these things. And
Yeah.
but what's a good thing is a lot of people, especially in the UK, they've bought bicycles.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot more people have bought bicycles to go out and exercise. And I've seen kids out on the bikes and out at the parks and
Mm-hmm.
spending more time with their family. Whereas normally their parents would be working like all the time, and then they might not have enough time for them. So then they end up going on Netflix on their iPads and stuff like that. So it's maybe got people to go outdoors more and like really appreciate just being outside.
Yeah. I know that me personally, leaving my family when it's time to go back to England, leaving my family is probably going to be the hardest thing because I've just grown to be so adjusted to being here, and I haven't had that opportunity in years and years and years to spend this much time at home. So I'm seeing the silver lining in it all.
Where are you now?
I'm in California.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
And why is there a picture behind with no picture?
Oh, because it's a new frame.
Oh, okay. So you don't wear it out.
No, it's an 8x10, and
Okay.
we have to order an 8x10 photo to put in.
Oh.
Otherwise, all the other ones, all the smaller ones, have already been filled. But it's the big ones. We have two big ones, and then there's a 5x7 that still needs filling. It's funny you know that. I know. I'm in a fake house right now.
Yeah, isn't it?
So obviously, there's been so much change. We really don't know where all of this is going to go in the next several months. But I know that your fight with Daniel Dubois obviously had to be postponed. Frank Warren was mentioning something about possibly September, if not October, because it's, I guess they're sort of waiting on the chance to bring in a crowd. They want it to be in front of a crowd. Are you prepared to let the fight between the two of you, go as long as necessary to ensure it has a crowd? Or is there going to be at some point where you're going to say, like you said, it's the biggest fight of your career, you kind of want to get this going because there are other opponents that you want to face? So are you okay with it riding out as long as it takes, or is there at some point you're saying, look, if we can't get a crowd by the end of 2020, we just got to get it done with?
Yeah, I'm okay with it riding out, so long as I've got some fights to, get ready for and have a goal to work towards, and then maybe have a couple of fights in like without a crowd, and then when there's when we're allowed to have a crowd, then obviously you have the big fight then. But I'm turning 35. I was going to say 25 there. 35 in September. So I don't know. Better sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I know.
Because it works in his favor. Meanwhile, the clock's ticking. He's only 22. So there's some big fights out there. So just a bit of a spanner in the works, and but that's life, and we have to deal with these things to learn and to grow.
So how are you sort of passing the time? I know you said that you're doing a lot of biking, but how are you keeping yourself sort of prepared for whenever this date comes? Because it is challenging, I can only imagine, for all the fighters who are basically being told to stay ready, but they're not given
ready for
a
what?
date. Yeah. There's no date. There's no specific return for them. So it's like, is that hard for you? Because you're not. I'm imagining you're not sparring. You're not getting the proper training like you would normally.
No.
So
Yeah, right. Yeah.
how are you doing this?
Well, I'm just kind of taking it as I've had my kind of like holiday break period where I've just, put my feet up and relaxed, and now and then I started like ticking over and, keeping myself active. Well, I've always been, I like to get outside and, do activities and stuff like that. So I've been happy to do that and just like just kind of switch off and just tick over and just recover and wait until the time's right to properly go for it, because then you can go from this point to that point. You don't want to get to from this point to that point and then you don't know when you're fighting, so then you might start to drop off.
Yeah, or overtrain. A lot of people have actually decreased in their performance when they've overtrained. So I know that Frank Warren was talking about potential in between fights for you guys before the fight between you and Dubois. That's something you're obviously entertaining.
That's what I'd like to happen.
And anyone in particular that you were considering, or is it just literally going to be a tune-up fight?
I mean, I'm game to fight anyone really, but I mean, I haven't fought for a whole year, so I mean,
I was gonna say that you haven't fought since last July.
last July, yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
obviously that was
so
disappointing. I was disappointed twice this year. It's been this year actually. This year's been a bit of a write-off. Actually, Huck was actually technically last year. Because it's supposed to be in December, but then obviously then he pulled out with a hand injury, so that sucked. And then obviously things were going well, and I thought I had the Dubois fight, biggest fight of the career. That I was going to beat his ass up, and then move on to better things. But then obviously this happened, and then I'm gonna have to do the scenic route, and then come back round to fight him. Finally, hopefully this year. Probably looking more like next year.
yeah, I know. That's the unfortunate thing. I know that we're talking about these big fights towards the end of the year, which I'm hoping. I hope I'm wrong, but it does kind of look like it's going to be sitting in early 2021 if we continue to move at the pace that we're moving at currently. So, but again, I'm trying to be optimistic because I would love to return back to work already as well, and just not even being able to sort of attend the events or have the interaction with you guys is really challenging. But we do know that, well, first and foremost, tell me like what your thoughts are on Daniel Dubois. I haven't spoken to you at all since the fight got announced. I wasn't there for the press conference. So tell me a bit about, I was actually out of the country.
Why? How dare you?
I was out of the country. I'm sorry.
Excuses.
I know. Shame on me. Yeah, so tell me a bit about what your thoughts are on Daniel Dubois, because we know that Sam, your manager, Sam Jones, has a lot to say about.
Yeah, he's quite vocal on certain areas of boxing, or pretty much all areas.
For you sometimes he's like, you're not going to say it, I'm going to say it. So, what are your thoughts?
Sorry? What
are your thoughts on Daniel Dubois?
I don't know. He's just Daniel, isn't he? Like, I remember him from the squad, and he just does he doesn't really say much, puts his head down, does his work, and
he's a man of few words, kind of like
a man of few words. He was quite vocal in the lead up to the fight, though, with the press conference and stuff like that. So, but he's been very quiet. I haven't seen any new interviews of him though.
What you mean with me?
No, with Dubois.
Oh yeah, I don't know if he's done any recent interviews. To be honest with you, it hasn't been very easy getting a lot of people to do interviews during.
Yeah, I think he's been in a cave with a boxing bag, and he's just hitting the boxing bag all day long. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, hopefully he is staying, focused and ready. But overall, like, have you guys ever sparred together over the years? Because I know a lot of you guys have already sort of shared the ring at some point.
Yeah, so on the GB squad, he was on there at the same time with me, and obviously Joshua, there's a Coley, Fraser Clark, Gorman, and what's his name? Mate, I'm terrible.
It's okay.
Dave Allen as well. He mix it up and that. So there's plenty of sparring up there, and every now and again I would like spot. We'd put us two together. But it'd normally be like me, Fraser Clark, and Joshua sparring mainly. But yeah, I noticed his strength and power, and he had a massive jab. Each jab was like a backhand. So he's a very strong fighter. Yeah, I was quite surprised when he turned pro, because I remember like back in the day he was asking me, like he was talking to me about like thinking of turning pro and whatever, and I was like, well, I mean, you could stay and like obviously compete with Fraser to get the top spot and go to the Olympics, or you can do a Mike Tyson and see if you can get to go for the world championship. And he obviously picked Pan A or B, whichever way you want to look at it.
Who would you say has been the best sparring session you've ever had? And
I
why?
mean, the best, like the most enjoyable one.
Could be anything. Could have been they gave you your, they tested you the most. It could have been whoever taught you the most about yourself. It could be anything. Like who would you say stands out the most as the best sparring partner you've ever had?
I used to love sparring with Joshua when he used to come forward at me. He's so powerful in that, and we'd we'd be just trading punches on the front foot. That was exciting. Also, Mike Perez, when we went to Ireland before I turned pro, that was a good fight. That was, I mean, not a fight, a sparring match, because he was southpaw and very sharp and technical as well. That was fun. Mixing up with Tyson Fury is also quite cool. Like, I mean, he's quite hard to hit, and he can hit you some mad shots at mad angles, like really quick shots and that. It's tough, man. I don't know. I just enjoy sparring. It's quite hard to pick the one I enjoyed most. Guido is good to spar as well, in the same camp, especially when we was up in Big Bear with Abel.
Mm-hmm.
He's really good.
Well, I mean, you just mentioned two people who obviously their announcement just.
Johnny Rice is good to spar as well.
Who?
Quite hard to hit. Johnny Rice.
Uh-huh.
He was in Big Bear as well. He helped me quite a lot in Vegas and in LA. He was like the best sparring partner when I first did my first camp in LA. Okay. I mean, in Vegas. Mm-hmm. When I was in Vegas, but then we took a private jet with. That's when I was still with David Hay, and then we was in LA sparring, and I think I sparred Brazil and some other guy, and like it turned like I ended up I don't know what was happening that day. Like Brazil started like hit him, and then he started rolling around the ring, like going on about his shoulder or whatever. And then some other guy got in and was like, he was a bit cocky. I forget what his name is. If Sam was here, he'd know who he was. But he was sticking his chin out, like showboating and that. And then I just floored him, like knocked him out. And he tried to get up again, did his ankle, fell over again. And then I was like, and then he was rolling around the ring for like 5 minutes. I was like, what's going on today? And then Brazil had to say, come on, mate, get out of the ring. And then Johnny Rice, who luckily was there, and he did 12 rounds with me straight off.
Wow. Okay. So of the obviously you've sparred two of the top heavyweights currently. Yesterday,
actually, Walder came to Sheffield to the GB squad, but I think we just missed each other. Oh, okay. He didn't. I don't think he wasn't sparring any of us with good reason. You know what I mean?
Now I'm going to have to ask you this because I'm curious. Now, granted, this was a while back, so it's. I know that there's been more or enough time to develop, and they've only gotten better over the years, just like you've gotten better over the years. But you've sparred with Tyson Fury and you've sparred with Anthony Joshua. Mm-hmm. I'm curious to know, based on what you've been able to gather in your personal experience, who you think wins the fight. Because I know that there is a deal that's been reached between the two for 2021. So can I ask you who
if you must. Yeah, it's a difficult one. Obviously, it's an amazing fight. I'm glad it's going to finally be made. Mm-hmm. Where it's going to be, that's another question. Mm-hmm. But obviously, the British public wants it in Wembley Stadium. But then I guess they go where the money is. So we'll see. But so obviously their attributes, Joshua's can come forward and he can throw bunches of punches, and he's quick as well. He's got good hand speed and big arms. and very damaging punches that he can put together. He's got obviously a high guard and he's a unit. But he's shown when he fought Ruiz that he can actually go on the back foot as well. So, he's got that to his game. But he's more of a textbook kind of boxer, whereas Fury's the complete opposite. He's got that more traveler, loose fighting style with his hands down, and more elusive and uses his footwork and stuff like that. Maybe not got the physical attributes as Joshua, like the power aspect, but he's got speed, and he's shown in fighting Wilder that he can come forward with his hands up and throw some heavy leather and finish his opponent. So they can both get in trouble, and I think Fury will be able to outbox Joshua. I think unless Joshua can I don't know, get on top of him and land something heavy, put some stuff together. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a tough fight for both of them. So they have to come completely prepared. Obviously they will. But,
if you had to compare, or if you had to choose, and if we had to base that solely off of their last performances.
Yeah. Last performances, I would say Fury straight up. Because, with all respect to Joshua and what he's done, etc., it wasn't a great. He did what he had to do to win, but it wasn't a great fight. Whereas Tyson going forward did what he had to do, and just took Wilder apart, punched him up in his backyard. Then that's it's a different kind of statement, isn't it? Whereas Joshua was more a bit apprehensive on the back foot, just doing a kind of Klitschko kind of thing, just trying to keep him off him at range, etc.
Do you feel that Deontay Wilder can beat Tyson in the third fight? Or do you feel that, or maybe it doesn't interest you anymore?
It hasn't quite got the hype and the, it's kind of like a formality fight. Mm-hmm. Just because he's got the rematch clause, but I thought he beat him the first time. Tyson beat him the first time on points, and then the second time he just punched him up. So on the third time, but you never know, Wilder might come back and knock him out, knock him spark out, because he's he's competitive, former WBC world champion. So he's gonna, from that fight, he's gonna look back and see what he needs to improve, and hopefully come with something better, and and not just relying on his right hand to finish the job. So it might be an interesting third fight. But then, I'm just excited to see the AJ Fury. What happens if Wilder beats Fury? Does that mean that would the fight still happen with AJ, or would it?
I actually don't know what the clauses are currently upon the agreement, but I'm pretty sure that fight goes out the door, because if the goal is to unify the division, you have to go with the winner of that fight. So that would be interesting to find out the specifics of what the contract indicate or the agreement indicates, because I don't quite know if it can't really be a contract right now because they don't have a venue, they don't have a date, but they can have an agreement in place. Mm-hmm. So I'm not quite sure what that entails at the moment.
We shall have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I know that Deontay recently, when he did an interview, he said that he did not consider Tyson Fury to be the champion. Mm-hmm. do you take that as in he's basically saying, you know, he's just holding my belt at the moment, or do you take that as in, or can take that as in not giving the credit when deserved?
Maybe. I mean, it's maybe it's quite a hard pill for him to swallow. I mean, you know, he had the, you know, his whole body armor, you know, bronze bomber outfit on, and he's saying that that might have had some effect, maybe psychologically. But I don't know. I mean, in an ideal world, what the boxing fans would want to see, would want to happen, is for Wilder just to step aside so we can see see who's going to be unified. You see who's going to unify the division.
And then he get the winner of that fight. That would be pretty
massive.
That would be pretty massive. I just don't see Wilder stepping aside unless, God forbid, there's some sort of injury or something happens along the way with sparring, which happen, or not sparring, but with training. As obviously, you know, it happens all the time. So aside from something like that, I just don't really see, unfortunately, that fight being next. But I can't see that being like, if you let Tyson and AJ fight and then you get the winner of that fight, like a guarantee.
I'll take the winner or the loser of that fight. No worries.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's a better setup ultimately. Another thing is AJ obviously recently has been under heavy scrutiny for something he said. Some people feel like it's being taken out of context. Others are feeling offended. When, I'm not sure if you've heard it or not, but if you have, what was
I've had a lot of time to look and research stuff and whatever. So I know what's going on.
Your hands. Yeah, so I'm just curious to get your opinion of his opinion.
To do with the protests and the speech that he said. Well, I mean, I think he's might have been taken out of context a bit, because he was given a script to read, but then it didn't help his comments afterwards. He could have said, you know, afterwards, like, I was reading for a script. I didn't mean to offend anyone or whatever. But I don't know. Maybe he could have handled it a bit better. But I mean, he's only human, and people make mistakes, and whatever. So
it's sort of like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't whenever it comes to anything, especially when it's politically related, when it has anything to do with religion. You're always going to be, I've always been told, you have a 50% chance of people hating what you're saying or 50% chance of people loving what you're saying. So no matter what, again, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. But the sort of abuse he's receiving at the moment, do you feel that people feel that they're entitled to feel the way that they do? Because some people felt as if it came off racist, and others feel that it was, again, taken out of context.
Yeah. I think he said something similar before, but so I don't really know. Question mark on that one. I mean, it's, you know, I guess because Joshua's so media trained, and you know, he has a big responsibility, and he has a whole lot of people watching him, so he needs to be careful what he does. And he's been built as, you know, such a good role model, and etc. So it's hard to, so I don't know, maybe he's, the way how he's been perceived by the media and stuff, maybe he's not being true to his self. And maybe when he's starting to be true to himself, that maybe people are seeing a different side to him.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know as good as anyone that when you're in the public eye, it's like you're walking on eggshells, because again, someone's not always going to agree with you. Like I put up posts about UFOs and really weird stuff, and religion. Like I don't consider myself religious. I consider myself spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
people
same.
are pretty offended by those things. Like anytime you put up anything that goes against their belief system,
Yeah.
you're gonna get a reaction to it, even if your intention was good, even if you meant
Yeah.
harm and you really honestly meant nothing by it other than you were just voicing what you felt inside. Do you feel that it's been a struggle even for yourself to be very cautious of not being able to sort of show too much of who you are, really who you are,
Yeah.
because of that?
Yeah, because I guess I sometimes post stuff like that, and especially with all what's happening with the um, with Floyd and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, and the riots and stuff, and um, like you're there's loads of people posting stuff, and you're seeing lots of different things. So sometimes you want to share this information as well, um, but then afterwards, like sometimes you think, should I have put that up? And then you get like comments of people like reacting a certain way, and I don't know, or you get like DMs of people and stuff like that. So you have to be a little bit careful with what you put up.
But at the same time, it's hard to explain, but it's like you want to be able to express who you are, because
Yeah,
I feel like fans love their, like, especially when it comes to athletes, they really admire athletes on a completely different level, in
hmm,
my opinion. And they want to feel like they know you. They want to
yeah,
feel like they can connect with you, relate to you, feel like your struggles are their struggles and vice versa, right? But at the same time, especially today, you can't say anything without it being misconstrued. Or
yeah. And I think the freedom of speech is kind of, it's not really that way anymore. I think a lot of people are being censored, and their accounts being
yeah,
taken off completely, or videos that they've uploaded or whatever has been taken down, and to try it, like, for instance, I don't know, it's a bit like Big Brother is watching, and trying to control what people are seeing, and you can't really say exactly what you want, or put up whatever you're thinking or feeling, or sharing information, because it could be taken down. It could be and also people, the way people perceive you can be in danger of it. I don't know. Yeah, and yeah, I'm not very good at talking, but I mean, I try.
I completely get what you're saying, because it is hard to explain, because there's so many different avenues that you can take with this conversation. And but when you said Big Brother, I completely agree. I've actually used that.
The Truman
that
Show.
Huh?
The Truman Show.
Yeah, yes, like that you're being watched and everything is being monitored, and if it doesn't go the way it's supposed to be going, then something intervenes to make it go back to that direction, which is obviously the a big reason why we are sitting in the position that we're sitting in today, with Black Lives Matter and police brutality, and even when it comes down to feeling like we're losing our rights to be able to walk out our door, see our families, go
Mm,
to funerals, attend graduations. There's just so much going on at the moment that, and of course, naturally, everyone's going to have an opinion about it. And I always say, whenever someone wants to say something to me, I always say, I respect your opinion. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong, because again,
yeah,
it's a 50% chance of being right and a 50% chance of being wrong. And it depends on who's listening, that is who's going to decide who's right or wrong. it's all down to opinion at the end of the
Mhm.
day. But it is a touchy one because
Yeah.
you say something, and no matter what happens, you have a 50% chance of offending someone. So
Mhm.
sometimes I like to sit certain things out because I don't feel like, because I'm not, my intent isn't to harm anyone or overlook someone else's feelings just because I have an opinion on it. So sometimes I choose to be a bit that way, but I also found that I'm not really showing myself, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Because how could you show yourself if you're withholding who you really are because
Yeah.
of not wanting to offend people or not wanting to say the wrong thing? Because offend, remember, one person could take offense to it while the other one agrees. So when I say offend, I don't mean intentionally saying something harmful that you know is going
Yeah.
to piss someone off.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So I get what you're
Yeah.
saying. It's hard to explain because it is
Or they can't be,
tricky.
or they're not quite ready for the information, etc. Or
Yeah, I believe in cognitive dissonance 100%. Like
and
sometimes,
there's and obviously the technology and the internet is, this is a great information age, and we show our whole lives and our views and our opinions, etc. And what's good about, I mean, the technology is that people on their smartphones can record actually what's going on, what they're seeing, and then it shows people what's actually going on.
and it
And
also shows what was being hidden
yeah, in the
all
past.
along,
Uh-huh.
what was being covered up all along. Like I've seen video, like there was a video about a month ago, a Hispanic man in Los Angeles, there was two cops and he was being hit. Like the cop was just hitting him and hitting him and hitting, and the guy wasn't fighting back. He was just, kind of ducking, and he was hitting him and hitting him and hitting him. And it was this person hidden away who's recording from their window or porch or whatever, but the police didn't
Yeah.
know they were being recorded. And again, that's the issue that we're seeing at hand is all along what has been hidden, what has been lied to. um, I always like to say, because you and I are similar age, I'm 35, so um,
I'm nearly there this September.
well, yeah, I'm 36 next month, so I'm a little older than you, but
Woo! Okay.
I know.
Nah, you
But
look well.
I always refer it back to, do you remember when we were in school, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have computers until about high school time.
Mhm.
So before that, everything that we I
And then
love
you'd have to wait for the page to load. Like what?
this. It was AOL, remember? That was
Yeah.
so
I still got my original email from my first email from the
yeah.
Yahoo one.
And then they had the computers,
School.
they look like those big bubbles from Apple. Remember they had
Oh,
like
what the big screen? It's just the screen and
no, it was a
oh no, I think
normal screen, but it had a huge
big square thing. Oh yeah, and the back was like that.
and then the Apple ones had like different colors, like neon green and all these crazy colors. Do you remember those?
I remember the apples that were like, it was just like a it was just like a big TV, and you could like see through it. It was transparent.
Some of them were transparent, yeah, but they had
Yeah,
colors.
but it was the whole thing. It was the whole thing that was. It was a
Yeah,
whole. It was the TV and the monitor and
yeah,
the PC in
yeah.
one. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So back then, that's what we started to get. I think I was like a sophomore, if not a junior. No, I think I was a sophomore. Anyways, but
But technology has come along so fast. Like mobile phones, for instance.
yeah,
But then
technology,
we're still using gas in our cars.
you know. Well, it's because it makes money. So remember, you got to remember, anything that makes money in this world is going to continue. It's anything that is natural is always going to be suppressed, and that's because it doesn't make us money.
Mm.
So, and I say us, not as in us, but as in like pharmaceutical companies and oil companies and so forth. But my
Mhm.
point is that back in those days, up until we started to get the internet, we were always we were only given either newspapers or textbooks. And in the textbook, we believed verbatim what we were being told. Okay. We had nothing, we had no other way to question what we were being told. So whatever
And then
history,
when we get back home, that like especially for us here, we only had 4 channels on the
Mhm.
TV, and then they added the 5th one, and now there's like so many channels, and well, I don't even watch TV anymore. I've got my PC, my computer, I've got my PlayStation with like
Yeah.
Netflix and whatever all them services, Amazon,
But like
Disney.
back
But
then,
anyway, carry on. Sorry, I interrupted you.
no, it's fine. But back then we were basically told what to believe. And we
Yeah,
believed it because that was what we were taught in school. We didn't have any other reason to question what was being told to us,
yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
So now as an adult, and I'm able to kind of Google,
Yeah,
I'm
and
like, wait,
most people get their
that
news
didn't
from
happen.
social media,
Yeah.
don't
But
they?
even then, like now when I look back on what I was taught in school to now, because I know it's different from, England to America, but what I was taught about history in America was completely false.
Hmm.
I was like, that didn't happen. It didn't go down like that because now we're in the age of information. Now
Yeah.
you can learn. So you could get
You got
one.
a question? Ask Google.
Yeah. Yeah, and even if you ask Alexa and other AI technology, you'll
Mhm.
be amazed at the responses you get on certain things because that's the truth. And so basically, we're in an age of truth. We
Yeah,
can learn.
that's next AI. Hopefully, it's not going to be Judgment Day, and there's going to be some T whatever 1000 or whatever they got.
But I'm actually really fascinated with all of it, and I love learning. And I understand it's challenging to when you learn stuff that goes against what you were always taught to believe. But I think that it's so important that we take the time, especially now more than ever, to really start looking at the facts. Because I heard a saying and I laughed at it. It said, "Facts don't care about your feelings."
Mhm.
So if
Yeah,
it offends you, it's not. There's nothing you could do about it. Facts don't care about your feelings. Facts are facts. So
and
if,
thoughts are things.
huh?
And thoughts are things.
Yeah, there's so many things that we're learning now in this generation that can forever change the world in a positive way.
Uh-huh.
If we can learn to do that, because if we can learn to remove emotion from the way we react at times, I think we
Uh-huh.
can accomplish, as humanity, we can accomplish so much. But emotion
I
can't be involved.
And I think people like to hang on to what their truths are, what they believe. But if there's a different thing, like the new comes to light, it's quite hard to let go of something that you've been like so strongly holding on to. This is what I believe. But then, like when someone tries to challenge your belief, then it's quite hard to let go and have an empty cup to be able
Open
to,
mind.
or like a, a way to like change what they believe as truth.
Did you know that that's called cognitive dissonance?
Oh yeah, okay.
Mhm.
Oh,
That's what that means. That means that when someone has such core beliefs in something and learns that it's not what they've always believed it was,
mhm.
that oftentimes, in more cases than not, people reject the information, even if it's factual, even if it's right there in front of them, telling them what it is. They don't want to hear it because it goes against everything they've been taught to believe, which is fine. And I think that's a natural reaction initially, but I think it's important in order to see growth with humanity that we each, all of us, have an open mind. I think that's why, like, I've learned so much recently. I want to say in the last 6 months, the amount of information that I've learned.
Because there's a lot of new discoveries, but then they don't get put out there on the news.
Yeah,
Like here, we've made a new discovery, so it means that all these other theories or things that like people know as fact are actually wrong, and like with actually growing and moving forward is kind of um, like suppressed.
yeah.
And with the internet and all this information available at your fingertips, you kind of like learn more things, and it's it hasn't quite caught up with like the mainstream hasn't really caught up with what's actually out there.
Well, no, I want to say that I
Maybe
believe the mainstream is aware, but it's
it's
very
hard
controlled.
to,
It's very controlled. So
yeah.
again, back to textbook. We were told what to believe. We didn't. I think then they didn't realize.
And what's going to happen to all those authors that wrote those textbooks? And there's like new information. They're going to have to rewrite them, or those books are not valid anymore. I don't know.
They haven't been. They haven't been. In some cases, some stories. I'm not saying all, but in some cases, especially in history, uh, been very incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't seen it changed. And do I think the time will come where I think that we're in ability?
I think we're in a transitional phase where, he's going to have to come out eventually, isn't it? And I think it's just a question of when everyone's ready, and then we can move forward and come, have a beautiful future.
Yeah. Do you believe in aliens?
Well, I think the politically correct term would be extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
Uh,
Do you believe in it or no?
yeah, I think there's life everywhere in the universe.
Mm-hmm. The only reason I'm asking.
I believe there's life everywhere in the universe.
The reason I'm asking because I'm super big on that, and this you're on episode 12. I'm only doing 13 episodes for my season 1 of my podcast, which obviously features people strictly from the boxing community. But season 2 is going to be focused on non-boxing topics, and one of the things that I'm going to heavily talk about are some of the things that we were just talking about now.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm game to come
yeah,
on there, but
good to know, because not everyone's into it or open-minded about it, and it's okay if you don't believe it. I just like to have conversations with people who are open-minded to the conversation, because then they might ask questions back, and maybe I might know something that you don't know, and you might know something I don't know. So you feed off of each other. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So that'll be good. I'll get you on when we start talking.
I do know a lot. I don't say a lot though, but I think when you're overflowing with information, it starts to come out, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's also pretty interesting because I know a lot of other people like to talk about it, but I haven't quite gone down that route yet, because I've had people ask me, I thought you said on your podcast you're going to start talking about, this and that. And I'm like, I do want to, but I want to do it.
But then again, you have to be careful what you say, otherwise it can get taken down.
That's so true. No, that's very true. You can't talk about a lot of certain things at the moment, but hopefully with the lawsuits that are occurring, and hopefully now that there's been an executive order signed by our president in terms of online censoring, hopefully that will change.
Yeah, because I know, I noticed in China, like the government have complete control of the internet, and you can't even go on things like Instagram or Facebook and things like that. They've got it like proper lockdown. So I hope that is not what's happening now.
Well, we could really go into biblical terms and things of that nature, but I'd rather save that for season 2.
Stay to be continued.
Stay tuned for season 2.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, and then we will have this conversation, because I have learned a lot about that as well, in terms of what's going on over there, and sort of how it's mirroring the start of what's happening here. So, but we will get into that eventually. But I'm going to wrap it up right now. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to even sit and talk to me. Hopefully, Lord willing, we will get back to our normal events and everyone seeing each other again. And I guess sort of molding to the new norm. Because I don't think it's ever going to quite go back to being the same.
Yeah. and hopefully better and better.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Hopefully, you're right. If we don't go back to our norm, it'll be a better norm for us, a more advanced. I don't know. It just us being, I guess, better people overall, being nicer to each other, being helping other people, understanding that right now we're all one and the same. We're all hurting exactly the same, and we're all going through very, very similar situations. So
Yeah.
with that,
Definitely could definitely make it more of a community where everyone's like helping each other
yeah, yeah, exactly.
and hopefully less about profits and more about, you know, helping humanity
Mhm.
build and grow and learn and you know, have some balance and harmony.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Well, let's stay tuned for season 2. We have one more episode. I have Sarah Beverly coming up for episode 13. And then after that, I will begin season 2 with nothing but quote unquote conspiracy theory stuff, as people like to call it.
Dun dun.
Fun. But thank you for taking the time out, and I'll speak with you soon, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Welcome.
Bye.
Take
Bye,
care.
bye, fans. Hey, Fi fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you do so by clicking this icon right here, or else.